American foreign who made pictures. And I think I put a lot of money on that. And purpose that I had from wanting to be clever into process building. So how do you do it in daily life? If you're not one of the how do you deal with it? You do it with art. I didn't understand when I say art at the time, but in other words, making films, what do you film say? You know? So what eventually happened, that I always wanted to originally make a film on the gospel. It was Matthew, and I wanted to make it in black and white 16mm in New York, modern day, in 1960. When the apostles were in suits and, full of horses, but all the same hallways, and the women king dressed in black, covered in black. And Jesus is crucified, and there's a TV on the New York docks, right by the docks, and all the things behind it, And I was going to do that, and then I saw how believe on the best film on the life of Jesus, Gospel According to Matthew, and I realized I would have to find another way. And thankfully, that was the Muslim for the last 3 years. Which is a much debated film and much argued about. But in the process of making that film, it was so difficult to make. It was like I would say, suffering birth pangs in a way. If a man can imagine that, I don't know if a man can, but it was so visceral, so carnal to make that picture, particularly the crucifixion scenes and this sort of thing. That ultimately, when it was finished, along with the controversy of the picture, I realized that I had to go deeper. There was something that was obsessing me. I think that was the iconography of the Catholicism that I was in. The crucifixion, all the crowning of thorns, all of this, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus with the disciples, Jesus in the temple, all of this. I had to go beyond it. That Christianity was demanding something else from me. And I didn't know, and I was kind of lost for it. And then that night, the film was shown to religious groups in New York who didn't like it. It was the summer of '88. They were very angry about it. And there was one man there. He was Archbishop Moore, head of the New York Episcopal Church, St. John of the Cross. And we had a little dinner at it. It was a hotel. And he showed up with his wife. And he said, I like the film a lot. He pointed out it was Christologically correct. And during that dinner, we knew that there was going to be a lot of difficulty with the picture. We knew that, but I saw that there were people who are members of the clergy and devout Catholics, devout Christians, who felt that it was not a film that was a motif, that film that was in a way against the religion or against Jesus. And so he said, but I want to give you a book, and this book is by a man named Tojyo and NY. And I just read Endo's book, Scandal, I remember. And he said, he described the story to me. And he said, the moment of Rodriguez's approval is an extraordinary thing. He says, talk about faith. This is something that you should read and think about. So the next day he sent the book. And I held it. I didn't read it. I was still dealing with the opening, or what you might call an opening of Last Temptation of Christ. And then I had to make another film called Goodfellas, gangster film. Turns out it was a gangster film. It's basically about the gangster lifestyle. In any event, Akira Kurosawa the great one, had asked me to play Vincent Van Gogh in his movie Dreams. So long story ago, we were shooting and my film started going on schedule, and he was finished. He was 80 years old. And this is 1989. And so so finally, I got to Japan. We finished in August, and I got to Japan. I took the book with me, and I read it there while I did the Vincent Van Gogh for Sensei, for Kurosawa. And when that woman came to the book, the confrontation with the Italy and the Christians hanging upside down in the pit, and Rodriguez and Guerrero and all that, I said, I have to make this into a film. I've got to do this. And within a year, we had the rights to the picture, to the book. And at that time, it had to do with an Italian called Chettigori, Tojyo Chettigori. I was dealing with a lot of the Italian industry at that time. The problem was for me, ultimately, that immediately I started working on the script with my friend Jay Cox. And I think we got about 40 pages in. I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. The bottom line is that I think it took me another 15 to 16 years of living to come to terms with the story, come to terms with that moment in the book. It's not even about visual. It's about what happens. What happened with Rodriguez? What happened with Guerrero? What happened? And I could not find it. I simply couldn't find it. And I kept trying. We kept trying writing it. I put it away. By that point, my manager, everyone in the movie industry, they were more interested in making bigger films in terms of with big movie stars and that sort of thing. Every time I tried to go, the film would be pulled away because the script wasn't great, or it was a family issue, or some illness in the family, we couldn't do it. And so eventually, the rights to the picture became so convoluted that there's the old story of the Tojyo and NY, that Alexander had to break and finally took a sword. This was so complex and so difficult, but eventually, Ruben Winkler and a number of other friends of mine got together. They worked it out because they knew I wanted to make this picture so badly. They worked it out. And at that point, I was able to, I forced myself to just live with the book and organize as best I could the dramatic structure of the story. And then, eventually, got my friend Jay Cox, and we worked for a month or two in a hotel and worked out the entire draft of the picture. And as I say, one of the hardest sections, of course, was the last sequences. And so for me, it was something I wanted to make so badly, because I thought I found something. I know I was still in the search, I was still in there. It was in that moment when he looks at the Pune and he hears the voice of Jesus. That's the moment. And I said, what? Secretary Mallett wrote to me, great filmmaker, artist, wrote to me after seeing the film. By the way, Terry, I haven't seen Terry's movie. That's so beautiful. I mean, how do we find it? How do we find it? How do we find this harsh reality being human? How do we find the grace of the genuine, the love of God? And to understand that all around us is the love of God. I don't mean to sound, I'm not a theologian, and I'm not, I can just tell you from experience, because I know when you made this picture, you meant it. It changed everybody's lives when we made silence. Not one we made, but we made it, everybody in the group. I don't say they all became religious, but there was something spiritual happened to them up on the mountaintops and this sort of thing. And, my wife is not, she was with us for a little while, but there's an illness there. And, well, my daughter was with us, and she was going through a hard time in early adolescence. And all of it came together in this picture. And so for me, that one night, Archbishop Moore gave me that book. Was a life-changing experience because it allowed me to go deeper than where I thought I was on the last temptation.
Thank you so much. like to explore the journey of making that film?
So, first of all, it's been an honor to be able to work on this life-changing work of yours. It was life-changing for me as well, and also for the cast members, and some of which who have actually made it to the series of being in church. So thank you for the experience.
You might want to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, there were certain very, very special moments, especially the strongest one that remains in my mind was the crucifixion scene of Mokichi and the villagers who were played by Somo Shinya and in the water, and that was just so sublime, and it was beyond words. We knew it was happening in front of us on the set, but still it was just so real that we just couldn't stop crying. It was a very special moment.
I felt that, we all felt it. We felt it.
Absolutely.
When I saw the rocks, I said, I want the crosses there. And my cameraman, Rodrigo, he said, I know he's going to want the crosses on the rocks. We're never going to get the crosses up the rocks. I hope he doesn't want it. I'm sure. I said, yes, there's got to be there. It's perfect. That's exactly. And then somehow they found a way. Dante, Fred, he lined up the shots. And, you know, you're going to have this incredible actor that does you know, he's got so many, you've got these wonderful people up there. So brave and so moving in that sequence. That, well, you were there. You know that a hush came over everyone when that sequence started.
It was still one of the most significant moments. Like, even in my life, I would say it was just so divine, and it made me realize this is what we do this for. This is the whole purpose of being in this world of expression and trying to find a core of human existence. So, exactly, thank you for that. So in terms of, so you set out to make this film. It was a 28-year journey with a Japanese crew, Taiwanese staff, and Japanese staff as well. Were there any moments, let's say, that you personally remember from seeing that stand out from the shooting experience that you had at Taiwan?
Well, I think pretty much, you know, I'm known for being, as I was saying earlier, having grown up as a coddled, sick child, not to go near animals. I couldn't go in. I would see green. I would start coughing and sneezing and having respiratory ailments just by looking at a tree. You know, so for me to be doing a film at such locations was quite extraordinary. And for me, this was a major change in my life. And my manager, a number of people felt, well, be careful, he's not going to be able to do it. But we were able to do it, and something else was on. You know, the climbing of the hills, all of that. I had people who helped me, but bottom line is, because I really don't know how to do that sort of thing. I don't know how to. You know, I grew up downtown in these great tenants, and so what do I know from this sports? I had nothing to do with sports. So, you know, but for me, being out in these locations, being high up those mountains sometimes, that was amazing. That was amazing. And watching the mist come in, and realizing when the mist came in the village, and I had him with me coming in, he said, coming in on this horse. And I said, oh. I said, that's okay, let's do a rehearsal. And the villagers will wind up, and the samurai are coming in, and it's blank. There's nothing, you can't see anything. I said, start shooting. They said, well, just rehearse it, remember, just shoot. And sure enough, slowly they emerge from the mist. And, man, this is this. There was just moments like that that were remarkable. The Adam Driver was really like Andrew Garfield, he was able to do it. Rodriguez, the emotional impact. And the thing about Andrew was that often we discussed a lot off camera, but sometimes things were so intense in terms of his physicality. What I mean by that is the trauma he was going through for real in his heart. And don't forget, he was James Martin put him through the spiritual exercises, Francis Xavier. So he ready to go, the camera was like, I didn't say a word to him. I saw he was moving around on the set, moving around, and eventually it's okay, let's go, and just start shooting. And sometimes he just transcended himself. The pain I think he was really going through was quite something. I don't know, it was the last day of shooting when he had to dive into the water to try to save the artist was being pushed off the boat. He also, Adam, it was interesting. I said, you guys have to, lose weight. You got to lose weight. You got to have this nutrition. And the nutritionist said, okay, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. Yeah, it's easy for me to say. What do you mean? Did decide to be talked to us. The actors, Adam actually lost, I think, 35 pounds. I didn't quite understand he went that far. He wanted to go. I know he lost 30 pounds, maybe more. During this process, and at some point, a couple of times when I went to Adam, I noticed that he was seen in the frame where I was shooting, he seemed to be kind of wandering. And I said to the script person, I said, what's he doing? What's he doing? And then I got up and talked to him, and he said, I went in my trailer and I had a few berries, and I had a banana. And now I feel a little better. And I realized that they were so hungry that they were losing their sense of reality around them. So you see it in the film, you see it kind of glaze in his eyes. It's all it's really quite real. The berries and banana thing was based on what the nutritionist was doing in terms of making sure that they were safe in what they were doing with their bodies. And thank God they were. But they were so dedicated to it. And our Japanese actors and all of the Taiwanese people who were there helping us, the Japanese actors were amazing. We learned a lot from a lot of active discipline from them in terms of being able to perform under the worst circumstances. In one case, a typhoon. We had a typhoon. I didn't even realize it. We were driving. They were driving me, and I said, gee, it seems to be raining this. Yeah, there seems to be a bad weather on the set. Well, what are we going to do? They said, everything's fine, everything's fine. And as we're getting this, no, it's a typhoon, it's pretty bad. I said, well, where you were on? It was a scene with Kichijiro.
Watch that scene.
You remember about the family? And his sister, hair goes on fire and the whole thing. And I said, this is impossible. I said, we can't go there. This has to be done. In fact, we remember going in that little trailer like that. And all of a sudden, two guys come in. They were covered in a rain gear. And they were dripping. And they looked up and smiled and said, you could do it. And I said, what do we do? I said, it's the cameraman. I didn't even recognize him. So, I said, he said, we can do it. It's an actual machine. And they were able to do it. They pulled together. And we shot that scene in a typhoon. Luckily, we didn't need sound that day. But there were earthquakes and things like that. One gets in that part of the world, you have to tend to get used to that. But that typhoon was quite something. But really, it was the strange thing happened to strange, beautiful moments at the last couple of weeks of shooting, particularly in the scene with the about to be martyred villagers hanging over the pits, and Liam Neeson and Andy Garfield going at it, arguing with the jail, and then taking them out and telling them to step out and do it. It was very early morning, and sure enough, the cops were crowing. Just they did the same thing. That was real. That was real. But it was a remarkable time. It was magical.
So the film has come out in 2016, and it's been 6-7 years since the movie came out. Even personally, I see people around me over regret not seeing it at the time it came out. But how do you feel about the movie aging over time, and from the vantage point of where you are right now, how does the movie stand out to you in your body of work, for example?
Well, as I said, now that we have the letter, Francis Coppola doesn't write letters to me, wrote a letter about the film. Michael Mann picture. So that was at that time. Since then, since then there's this young director named Ari Aster, who has seen the picture. You've just seen it maybe 7 times already. And it really feels it's, I have to put the note here, the most vivid representation of the Jewish figure that has haunted so much of Scorsese's work. The tortured hero of silence finally achieves grace. I was talking about Tojyo, the director Tojyo. By abandoning his station, denying his God, and embracing his fellow flesh, Rodriguez becomes a true Christian. Now, Ari has made these films very strong films, one called Hereditary and another called Midsummer. They're kind of gothic in a way, elements of thriller or horror. But he's a wonderful film that was realized and young guy. Interestingly enough, last year, in November, I turned 80, and of all places, Variety, which I'm not quite in Los Angeles Blue Button. Well, if that means anything anymore now with the internet and social media, I really don't know. But in any event, Variety ranked my movies for my 80th birthday. A man named Clayton Davis ranked my movies, all 25 of the narrative films. And he ranked number 1, number 2, Rachel. Interesting. And, you know, I'm in a world that doesn't talk like this, you see. You know, because I only have maybe 1 or 2 friends who I can speak to like this in a way. Because one picture, you'd be, you know, pious, or you'd be, fake piety, that sort of thing. No, this is my life. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I do. But I was so surprised at the variety of all things. I'm really amazing to find that is being constantly rediscovered. You know, and that's, I've been told by others that outside of the cinema, the film is certainly a picture that is very much in many minds. There's a magazine called Palabra, which is quite a magazine. Tracy Cochran and a number of people, in those circles, it is taken very seriously, and it is debated, and it is discussed. And it seems to be going on. I don't quite get it. I don't quite know. I don't see all this stuff, but people send me things. Friends of mine send me maybe the Academy did give a nomination for the viewing work of that creativity. But they're not there with this sort of thing. It's not something that is part of their well. In fact, it's kept away. I don't think it was they were respectful. They put it on a view to the AFI, the American Film Institute, had it on their 10 best films of the year, etc. But they're kind of, I don't know, I don't belong there. That's what I say.
Thank you, Mr. Scorsese. In your history of filmmaking, you know strangers are being criticized, particularly by religious groups at times, especially, as you noted, after the Last Temptation of Christ. One of the things that I think you've been generous and courageous to do in your filmmaking is to depict violence and the darkest of our human nature and the evil that we can inflict on one another. This has caused some religious folks to criticize you again, but everything in your films is still purposeful and artfully done. Can you talk about your use of violence in your filmmaking?
Yes, I'll talk to you about it, I think, because you're very serious. They're why your films so violent. They don't understand that. I grew up with violence as a way of communicating. It was not a way of communicating, it was an option in discussion. Yes, it escalated things, etc. But violence was, and I whether it's a street fight or hitman killing someone that I didn't see, but I had been around where bodies had been dropped off. And we find, call the police and say, this is somebody lying on the ground. It doesn't look like he was drunk. He was well dressed. It was late at night. Jimmy, the guy named Jimmy, the cop would come over and, you kids get out of here. And you find out the guy was dropped off, he's dead. So violence is very much a part of particularly, very much what I grew up. A volatile community and a volatile family. And so it's very important to express or to show violence in film in an honest way. Just an honest way. Just, it has to be truthful, not real. So I don't know if we do real, whatever real is. Truthful to the characters and to the situation. And it can't be, you shouldn't go back. But over the years, it's so terrible that it has to be like a fact. Frank Sheeran shoots Jimmy Hunt. Bang, like that. Two shot, nothing else. We know what he did. We know what he did to his best friend, the man he loved. This is Tojyo, they say. This is a man going through his own tormenting himself. He put himself in life that way. It's what had to happen. And there's no need to punch in and go tight and see blood fly everywhere. Hold it. Just hold it. To show. Now, in the earlier days, the violence was strong like that. There's no doubt about it. I think it's important to show this movie as truthful as possible because otherwise, it becomes artificial violence and artificial violence. There's a tradition, by the way, in some of the American Westerns and that sort of thing. You have the partial violence. What I mean by bar fights in Westerns. Things happen in those bar fights that person hit by that person is dead, but instead they're jumping around, In any event, it's a style. It's a kind of a style of filmmaking. Now, the artificial violence could be beautiful, could be choreographed in such a way as you have like a Kurosawa in some samurai or in Ojibwe, or Kobayashi in the Stone Harakiri, Samurai Rebellion, or something that I don't know if I feel it, but what we're seeing is almost like action geek. And it's like dance, it's something else entirely. You feel it, but it's really more stylized. And I had to, when I was growing up, these things would happen early. And I had no way of expressing myself about it. We talked about the next day. I actually, as a young person, as a kid was 15, 16, 17, sometimes fights in bars or the streets, it was exciting. It was exciting. And I do admit that often there was violence in films when I was growing up, certain films or things that I saw, a couple that I did, where there's a very troubling aspect of being titillated by it. Now, what I'm interested in there is why? What is that in us, in our human nature? I don't want to push it out of my head. I don't want to say it doesn't exist because it's going to come back again in the wrong way at the wrong time. I'm trying to find an aspect of the truth in myself. Saying if it's ugly, it's ugly. I don't even think some people didn't see it in that way, quite honestly. We just thought they were going to be made, shown, revealed for a couple of weeks, and then that was it. There was no television at the time that showed movies. They were always edited with commercials, so there was no streaming service or a service where a film would be shown uncut or uninterrupted. So there were maybe certain people who felt that way, or wanted to see that kind of film, or felt that they could identify with the people who picture like that, like Main Streets or Jack Scrabble, or particularly Raging Bull. But in any event, Raging Bull is more about the torturing that we do ourselves in that sense. Hence we get, that wonderful film on the great novel Diary of a Country Priest, where the priest finally tells the person, says, stop doing this to yourself. God is not a torturer. He wants us to be merciful with ourselves. I was about 18 when I saw this place. He's not a torture. We're the ones doing the torture. You know, we're torturing ourselves. We have to, God may forgive us, but can we forgive ourselves to move on and change our life and, you know, be there for others. This is what it's about, I think. And so the Bible to me is very, very serious. And for example, the great filmmaker from Mexico, Inarritu, who did Roma, who did Revenant and those incredible films. The night he was in LA with me, Los Angeles, there was a big party. I remember kind of all these kids jumping around. It was great. You know, we're older. I'm older than he is. But he looked at me, and this was maybe 8 years ago or so. He looked at me and said, they don't understand. He comes from Mexico. He said, they don't understand that we come from a culture where violence is serious. I said, I don't get it. In a sense, they think violence is a little bit of a game, you know. Like kind of like a game that you know, pinball games or whatever. Some of these new games where you can kill people in terms of what are they called, social media kind of things or those kinds of games. He had this kind of satisfaction in that, to a certain extent, in terms of hitting a target, so to speak, or, you know, but there's something else going on. It's definitely anger, hatred, which and the violence that I grew up on was pretty scary. And I have to admit, as a young person, sometimes it was exciting. I want to get into it. I would never be able to handle it myself. But I was very lucky. I escaped being shot one night by accident. I mean, I escaped by accident. The shooting was serious. And after came the film Mean Streets. Was the next morning when we found out what had happened, my friend and I left that car. When we found out what had happened the night before, we realized we were living, and my friend said, we're living on Walk Road. This was 1963. 2 kids were shot in the car. We were in the car, we left. Something happened, we got into an argument, and these guys shot them. And that created my whole body work, basically. Because why wasn't I in that car? Why didn't I get shot? What made my friends, Joe and myself, get out of the car and go home? It's extraordinary. And what was it all about? It was about nothing. It was about macho male dominance. It was like nothing else. There's an argument between these guys. And so that, you know, that's very real. I'm sorry, it just is. And there is also the psychic violence, the emotional violence, the trauma. I mean, I had that a lot. I saw that people in my family go through it. And it was absolutely in many ways more terrifying. A good example of this is that incredible moment in the great Mizoguchi film. Mizoguchi film. The first Japanese film I saw was Fugetsu, so it was on television. So that was Mizoguchi, then Kurosawa. I went to see Kurosawa film Seven Samurai in the theater. It was different. And he could, which is my favorite. But in any event, the one goes like a hollow. And there's a scene towards the end where this poor woman who's the geisha, prostitute, there's an old man who takes her by the lamp and says, come with me, come with me. He's very nice. Very nice. He takes her around. He takes her into a place, and he sits her down. He says, have some tea or whatever. And we noticed that there are about 5 or 6 other young men in the background. And he says, come with me now. He takes her by the hand and he brings her over to these young men. And he turns and he says to them, now, all of you, basically, you want to live a life with lust. You want to live the life in the impermanence. This is it. Look at her. This is a woman. This is what we want. She's nothing but, the translation will say, a goblin cat. The English translation. So she's absolutely had some nice dinner. He takes me into the room. He's giving a tea, coming in, it's nice, sit down here. Next thing, look at this horror. Look at, this is a woman. This is a woman. This is what you want. Yeah. It's quite that kind of violence that comes so disturbing. It's something we never forget. So for me, it's like the violence we just did it in the films. We just did it. We did it in the case of Beach Street, with that drug course. But we did it in the sense that it was almost matter of fact. This is how it happened. This is what it saw. This is what I saw when that guy when somebody kicked his head. This is what I saw that night when such and such in the bar and so through that bar. This is what I saw. It's like, I'm just trying to translate it to you.
Mr. Scorsese, thank you so much. Thank you for your candid response to that question. We're running out of time. We have so many things. Wonderful. Thank you. One of our choir members submitted a question, and we've all wondered, it's the difference between the ending of the novel and your ending, where the sense of ambiguity seems to be less ambiguous in a film ending. Can you speak to that?
Came up with the idea. What was interesting to me in the novel, particularly, once he apostatizes, the novel then becomes a diary by a Dutch captain. And so we're seeing what's happened to him through the eyes of another European who hardly knows anything about culture or anything like that. So, and I believe he's Protestant, he's not Catholic. So, anyway, we kept reading, and I said, and they kept talking about, can't we do dramatized this? Can't we dramatize? I said, no, it's gotta be objective. It's gotta be from this diary. But as we read, there's indications, and some of the other people were helping us too, discussing it. There are many indications, we showed too, that he still continued to deal with being Christian. He was constantly being checked. At one point, Kichijiro was taken away. And so we felt that Endo was telling us that he found, I may be wrong in the phrase I'm using, but he found Jesus his own way. He found something deeper and stronger. And so the cross in his hand, his wife knew, and put the cross in his hand he was still Christian. And I said, he may have been. I think the indications are there. If you read that carefully, so we took a chance and placed it in his hand there at the end. And something that we worked on for a very, very long time to make that decision.
It's indeed that less ambiguous and more aspiring, positive sort of ending that I think that struck with the hardcores and everyone who watched it. And in the end of the movie, you place the text for the Japanese Christians and the pastors and the Joran in Victoria. And in this day and age where religion is kind of seen with a grain of salt and with all the stigmas and whatnot that accompany it, like what do you feel our way forward would be as a person of faith or otherwise?
I think we're in a period of incredible change and incredible transition. And when that happens, there are seismic upheavals in how we think, how we behave, in our institutions. The one truth is the nature of God's love. This is the truth. I think. And that could be through consciousness, that could be through the science thinks they can figure everything out from the final analysis, whatever that is, 1,000 years from now, who knows? Still, there will be more to know. And in a way, in a sense for me, that gives me a great deal of hope continued faith in this kind of journey to the harshness of our human nature to find the truth of the genuine nature of God's love. This is really what our journey is about, ultimately. It may just be, as Father Rodriguez there, and basically serving people by the end. Or in Tolstoy's Father Sergius, read that novella, which ends in a similar way. It's just being there for those who are in need. And it's about being with others and being for others. And through that, one finds the love of God. And maybe that's really what it's about. Like I made a film called Bringing Out the Dead, about the paramedics in New York. Where at one point, a character who is so upset at nighttime in New York, which is very crazy and dangerous. At one point he says, I would be in situations where people are suffering so much, and there's nothing I can do for it. Nothing. All the medicine's gone, everything's gone, and I'm sitting there, and he says, all I could do is be there. And he used the phrase, the grief month. Like wiping up the grief and taking it onto myself. And suffering with them in silence. And even that, I said, well, it's kind of, that's easy. It's not easy at all. It's not. I know one, I don't know if you know, a friend of yours is very ill or somebody said, go and visit them. I always found there's some people who are very good at that, and others just freeze up. They don't know what to say. Yeah. Visiting a very, very sick person and dealing with that.
Mr. Scorsese.
And I find that's the real compassion. That's real compassion. Sometimes I have a friend of mine who's great actor who just is able to do that. He goes and meets people who die of cancer, sits there with them, doesn't say a word, just sits there. And they feel, but a lot of them they feel compassion. The best we can do, but it is finding the light that way.
I feel like we could do this with you all night. This has been so rich. Thank you for giving us your Saturday night. We're so honored to have had you here. We're so blessed by what you shared, and we continue to pray God's blessing on you and your faith and witness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Express our thanks. Blessings on all. Proceed into Holy Week. And, we will now ask you, if you're in the sanctuary, to please exit as quickly as you can, because we have a choir to move in and we have to get ready for our 11 o'clock service. Thank you all for joining us. Very special.
That was Martin Scorsese here in Tokyo, live stream interview.